Hey everybody, Aaron Zamzow here, FRF Podcast. Today we're going to talk about simplifying nutrition, especially when it comes to calories in versus calories out. I'm going to try to answer some questions and really give you a better understanding of how you should eat to lose weight, and we'll even dig into a little bit about why and what. Stay tuned.
It's time to get fit for duty with the FRF Podcast. Here's your host, Aaron Zamzow.
What's going on, FRF Nation? Aaron Zamzow here. Today we're going to talk about nutrition. Really going to talk about calories in versus calories out. Try to answer some questions, give you some guidance, and really clean and clear the air about a lot of myths and a lot of different things that you probably hear, especially in firehouses, because of course that's where all every problem is solved. But also, you get into these discussions about diets and nutrition. Sometimes at parties, and I especially do because I talk about this through the podcast and through firerescuefitness.com, and been involved in fire and fitness for almost 30 years. But you know what? As I go around to different firehouses, people are having these conversations without me there, so I know they're going on. And I wanted to dig into it. I did a Facebook Live post on it, had some really great feedback, and actually some really good questions that came of it. And I like to do a lot of research. If I don't know something, I hope you understand. And if this is the first time you're listening to me, I'm not going to BS you. A lot of the stuff that we talk about or that I talk about, I've experienced. I've had experience with working with some universities and some researchers, or I've done research on my own. Worked with I don't even know how many thousands of clients, including first responders, for the last 30 years, being in the fitness industry and also working with pro athletes. So. I've been around the block, I guess is what I'm telling you. And if it's something I don't know, I will, do research to try to make myself better and educate myself. And I've been doing this a lot with the old calories in, calories out, because I've been getting a lot of questions on it. And let's simplify it. Let's talk about it. All right. So here's what I think everyone needs to know, especially first responders. If you are talking about weight loss, let's say you're 200 pounds or you're 250 pounds and you want to get back down to 220 pounds, what is really the secret formula for that? Well, it is, when you're looking at it from 30,000 feet, it does come down to calories in versus calories out. Do you burn more calories than you ingest? If you do that consistently, you will lose weight. So, looking from, again, that big picture, 30,000 feet, calories in versus calories out does work. There is some research that independent professors have been doing. There's like a 41-year-old professor, I think, from Kansas, who ate ho-hos for a straight month and lost 20 pounds. And it's because they burned more calories. So they were burning 2,000 calories, and they only ingested 1,500 in ho-hos. Or McDonald's. There's another professor that has done that, where they've eaten McDonald's and they've gained weight because they ate more calories than they burned, and also gone to McDonald's and ingested less calories than they burned. So it really, from a physiological standpoint, calories in versus calories out is that magic formula for weight loss. Okay, weight loss. Now, when we talk about recomposition, building muscle, losing fat, there's a lot more to the calorie. Then it talks about the quality of the calorie. And we're not going to dig too much into that today. That's going to be a whole nother podcast, maybe another book. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. But today what I wanted to talk about is just the calories out, calories in, and weight loss ideas. Now, if your goal is to gain weight, then it's the exact opposite. You need to ingest more calories than you are burning. And I honestly believe that's just as difficult as losing weight. In some cases, the leaner people with more muscle mass have more higher metabolism, and so it's really hard to ingest that many good quality calories throughout the day. And I know some of you are like, oh, give me a shot at it. Well, we're talking about quality calories here too, and again, that's another day discussion, another podcast. But going back to this calories in, calories out. If you're in the deficit, you'll lose weight over a consistent amount of time. The opposite is true. Now, there are these situations and times where I get emails from people that are like, hey, I've been watching my calories. I've been in a calorie deficit. It's been 3, 4, 5 weeks, and I'm still not losing weight. What I found, my experience is this. It's usually one of 3 things. One of 3 reasons why you're not losing weight. One is it is actually very difficult to get 100% accuracy when you are calculating how many calories you are eating in a day. This really takes for a while, you measuring out your food, looking at labels, looking at your serving sizes, and, not just eyeballing it, because a lot of times eyeballs are not the most accurate, especially if, you're a little bit bigger person, and if you haven't done it, actually buy a food scale or buy like a measuring cup and measure your servings. You also will be astonished at how small some servings are, when it comes to label. I always remember like grape nuts used to be like a third of a cup. Nobody ever eats a third of a cup of cereal or grape nuts. But when they put that on the label, we look at it, there's only 120 calories in grape nuts. That's a great, it's not as many calories as I thought. Well, look at the serving size. And what you really need to do is measure those servings. Make sure you, then calculate based off what you are eating and really take the time to understand serving size. So the first mistake that most people make is that they are, overestimating, how many calories, or underestimating the number of calories that they are eating, I should say. So you think you're eating 2,000 calories, but you're not necessarily measuring properly, and you could be eating 2,500. Now, over the course of, a couple weeks, you're actually 500 calories more than what you thought you were burning, and so that's why you may not be seeing the weight loss. So the first thing is to really look at how many calories you are ingesting and intaking in a day, and make sure you get a better bearing on that. Now, the second part of this, second biggest mistake made when you're looking at calories in, calories out, and calculating that is people underestimate how much they burn in a day. I'll give you an example for this. I put on a Fitbit, and I got injured a couple months ago, and I wasn't as active. I wasn't going to the firehouse. I was doing projects, and so I would sit at a desk a lot more. And I found it very difficult, especially in the dead of winter here in Wisconsin, to get my 10,000 calories or 10,000 steps. So I wasn't as active as I thought I was. And that then also meant that I wasn't burning as many calories. And I think a lot of times when we switch, and chiefs tell me this all the time, they're like, now I'm sitting behind a desk, so I'm not as active. But typically we don't make adjustments on our diet for that. And all of a sudden you start to get 20, 30 pounds in the first 2 or 3 years. The same thing happens to our recruits. They're burning so many calories throughout the day as we put them through an academy. Then they get into the real world of the firehouse, and they're not as active on a daily basis. So the second biggest mistake people make when they're looking at weight loss and calories in, calories out is they underestimate how many calories they are burning, or they overestimate, I should say. They overestimate the calories that they're burning. They underestimate how many they're actually eating. So you think you're eating only 2,000, you're eating 2,500, and then you think that you're burning 2,500 and you're only burning 2,000. So now you can see where this can start to lead to almost weight gain in some cases. So typically, those two things solve a lot of problems. If people are like, God, I'm really getting frustrated, I'm calculating everything, I ask them, so are you measuring servings? Are you actually, staying active? The quick fix for that is look at serving size for when you are ingesting your calories. And the second part is find more ways to be active throughout the day. The pedometer for me was very motivating. There were some nights where I was walking circles around on the phone or reading or doing whatever around my house just to make sure that I got 10,000 steps in. So that's what I would tell you to look at, to try to get your weight loss going in the right direction. The third thing that I see the biggest mistake is that when people have a cheat day, they have a cheat day above and beyond what they originally calculated. So let's take, for instance, you're going to go party on Saturday, or you're going to a barbecue. You've been doing great the first 5-6 days of the week, you're actually in a calorie depletion of like, let's say almost a pound. But then you go on Saturday and you just have at it with barbecue and cocktails, and you estimate you maybe at like 2,500 calories and you might have got 3,500 calories. So you almost then just totally counteract everything that you did earlier in that week. And those seem to cure and get people going in the right direction, one of those three things. So, if you're frustrated right now and you're kind of listening to this going, well, I'm not losing as much weight as I thought I would, go back to really get a little more precise with determining how many calories you're ingesting, how many calories you're burning, and then don't let that cheat day get way out of hand, all right? So those are the three things. And again, this is talking about weight loss, folks. We're talking about weight loss. Now let's talk about dieting and why dieting might work for a while, might springboard you into, weight loss. I've had a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to do keto for like a month. And so what happens is they lose like 20 pounds. Now, part of that weight is water weight because when we don't ingest carbohydrates regularly, we don't have as much water in our system, so that water weight is now flushed out. So water weight's part of that. Maybe you lose about 10 pounds. What happens when you lose weight, though, your metabolism drops. It slows down because there's not as much mass there for the body to work to try to get fuel and energy to. So metabolism can actually decrease as you lose weight. And if you don't adjust your calories and your intake accordingly, all of a sudden, this is where you start to get this roller coaster where you start to add weight over a period of time. So that's one of the things that can happen. That's why I really don't like following a particular diet plan. I like more about establishing healthy habits, following the 80-20 rule. You eat 80% of the time you're eating great foods, fruits and vegetables, high fiber, high protein, staying hydrated, and 20% of the time you let yourself have some of those cheat meals. Those are the basics of good nutrition. I monitor weight. I actually really focus more on body composition to make sure that I'm not getting too much body fat. Same thing with weight you can do. If all of a sudden you start gaining a little bit of weight, then you either need to up your activity or decrease your calories. And to me, this is the basis of where to begin when you're looking at nutrition. You might use that diet to get you going, but then when you start to eat, away from that diet or get away from that single dietary pattern, you need to go back to establishing really good nutritional habits because that's what's going to last you through your career. That's what actually helps you in the firehouse. Now, personally, do I have ice cream? Yeah, I crush too much ice cream. I'll be 100% honest since we're telling all the truths here. I crush ice cream. Now, what I've been doing is if I have ice cream in the firehouse, I do a 22-minute Stairmaster routine that burns it. I know it sounds crazy, but it helps me stay where I'm at. Now, I'm 48 years old, and it is very difficult to lose weight the older you get. Your metabolism isn't as hearty as it used to be, and your energy levels aren't the best. So, for me, I want to make sure I stay right at between 170 and 175 and keep my body composition, at a certain point. What happens is, we don't realize we're 5 or 10 or 15 pounds heavier. We just keep living their lives, and all of a sudden, 3 or 4 years goes down and you're 20 pounds heavier. It's very difficult to get it off. So, start to teach yourself about calories in, calories out. I always say the first step in eating better and gaining control of your nutrition is A, drink more water, and then B, start to calculate exactly what you are eating. I didn't say anything about changing what you're eating, but start to read labels and understand what you are ingesting. And now when you go back to calories in, calories out, if you really start to look at what you're eating, read labels, understand serving sizes, start to calculate your calories, a lot of times people go, oh, shoot, I didn't realize I was eating this many calories. And then, the next step is calculate how many you should be burning, and that's another podcast that we'll talk about. And I have a blog post that I'm actually going to list some ways that you can calculate that. But, for right now, let's go back to the topic at hand. If weight loss, it really comes down to calories in, calories out. If you want to eat ho-hos, as long as you eat less ho-hos than you burn, you're going to start to lose weight. If you're not losing weight, go back to looking at the calories you are calculating you're eating, look at how much you're burning, and then don't let your cheat day get out of hand. Now, there are extreme cases where There are some metabolic issues, hormonal issues, stress issues. And if you are to a point where you're like, Zam, I've been doing all those things, I'm still not losing weight, I would encourage you to go see your doctor and get some blood work done. There could be some underlying issue that is restricting you from losing weight. And it can be one of many things. I'm not even gonna, speculate on what it is, but I would encourage you just to go get everything looked at. All right. So there are 3 things to look at if you're frustrated and not losing weight. Understand it is calories in versus calories out. Some things that you can do: go back to calculating your calories, look at serving sizes, get more activity. Don't let your cheat days get too out of hand. And now I'm going to add on top of that, manage your stress. Try to get a little bit more sleep. Take some deep breathing. Take some time throughout the day to try to manage your stress. Find more ways to get activity. And then look at the quality a little bit more of the calories you are eating. Try to get a lot of fiber and protein. And we're going to dig more into that. Okay. But those are the ways, and make sure that you're staying hydrated, because sometimes metabolism drops when we don't have enough water and hydration in our system. But when it comes to weight loss, it comes down to calories in, calories out. Unless you have some underlying issues, and we just talked about that, go see a doctor. Now, real briefly, this is the whole point of this whole podcast. Calories in, calories out when we're talking about weight loss. When you talk about recomposition, adding muscle, losing fat, then you get into the quality. And we're going to dig into the quality of the calorie in another podcast. But I hope this kind of separates this a little bit so it answers some questions. Yeah, weight loss, when you're at the party, does come down to calories in, calories out. But getting more muscle, which then in turn will boost your metabolism, that comes down to quality of calorie. So, what's the secret formula? Well, it's this. Weight loss, calories, adding more muscle mass, adding more better performance, adding more energy, that comes down to quality. And we'll dig again into more than that. But I just wanted to get you into this mindset that, all right, we're talking about, almost 2 separate things here. And, the answer is to bring them together and combine them. But sometimes we need a step process. So, again, my step process that I do with my clients is start with hydration, then figure out what you're eating. And then we're going to talk about how you change that up and how many calories you should be eating, and then the quality. So, hope this makes sense. I'm either on something or onto something, right? Please reach out with questions. Hopefully this clarifies a little bit, answers some of the questions of the calories in, calories out. And if you have some other things you want me to address on nutrition in the firehouse for first responders, please reach out. Go to firerescuefitness.com, contact me. There's a icon that you can click. You can chat, whatever you want to do. But let me know what I can do to help you and your crew get and stay more fit for duty. Thanks for listening, everybody.